What's up, guys? Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with an exciting video on the 10.0.7 PTR for Retribution Paladin rework. So, this week there was a lot of doom and gloom if you've been following the rework news about some pretty hefty nerfs. Um, However, I do think I was expecting the nerfs, and I also didn't expect them to go that hard. However, the good news is I waited 2 days to do my review, and within those 2 days, they actually undid some of the nerfs. So, for those of you that did not read the patch notes or have not been keeping up, basically everything got nerfed. Damage, healing, sustain, whatever, it got nerfed. And a few things got reworked, such as Holy Blade and Improved Blade of Justice sharing a node. Now, I don't really want to cover the numbers too much because the numbers are probably going to get tweaked a little bit more. However, my main complaint when they did the nerfs was that the Holy Power generators no longer feel good to use. That has since been fixed as of tonight, about 2 hours ago. Actually, I don't know when I'm going to release this video, so this happened on Friday, uh, U.S. time, Friday. Very, very late patch. So for those of you that aren't sticking around too often on Wowhead or MMO Champion, or like me, spam playing the PTR week to week, day to day, our Holy Power generators like Blade of Justice feel good to use again. So the main problem I had with some of the nerfs was Blade of Justice became horrible. So they got rid of the talent that caused it to scale off of our mastery, which in turn also greatly affected expurgation damage. So expurgation and Blade of Justice no longer scale with the mastery, and the mastery was nerfed. However, that is no longer horrible feeling. Um, there's actually a few different builds that I've been messing around with to make Blade of Justice feel a little bit better. And one of them is I'm just playing normal Holy Blade now. One additional Holy Power, it's fine, especially with Templar Strike. We will get into this in a little bit. But Expurgation now does fairly decent damage. I am taking Penitence again. Very briefly, I unspec'd out of this talent in order to stick the talent point into Inquisitor's Ire. And to be honest, there might be a world where that is still good. However, this is the current build that I'm running. Let me break it down real quick. So, um, if I wings Blade of Justice, let's see how much. 27k with 6.7k ticks. That is not bad. That is to be expected, to be honest. All right, 59k crit with 7.3k ticks of expurgation. Again, it no longer scales off of our mastery, but this is much better than the 3k that this was doing before. Yeah, 3k. It was 3k earlier this week. It was so weak. Now this 7k ticks, that is a much more reasonable number. When it all comes down to it, I was expecting Expurgation to get some pretty hefty nerfs because it was just such a large portion of our damage. Um, Along with, I'm not entirely sure I agree with making Blade of Justice pure physical damage again. I really did enjoy having it scale off of our mastery. However, it did need to be tuned in some way, and I think this is fine. Like, this is an acceptable damage level. Maybe it could go up a little bit more because without Penitence, Expurgation feels bad, but really there's no point in not taking it because it's just an additional 11k damage on your Blade of Justice, and it's essentially a permanent damage over time. Um, if we're getting our resets on Righteous Cause with our Blade of Justice, or if we're running Art of War. Actually, we honestly might be wanting to run Art of War when we were playing Templar Strikes along with Crusader's Reprieve. Now, Crusader's Reprieve got unnerfed. I'm very happy about that. This did get chunked down to 1% during the nerfs, but they re-brought it up to 2%. So we can now safely spec into this talent here. I will go over a few other nerfs. So Selfless Healer in PvP combat now is going to be 50% down from 70%. The tooltip says 100% right here. However, that is almost never been the case in PvP combat. It will still be 100% in PvE combat. So it's probably going to be between Crusader's Reprieve, Healing Hands, and maybe Sacrifice of the Just. You know, those will be our utility talents for this row here. Now, I'm no longer playing Divine Purpose. Divine Purpose got nerfed, and I actually don't agree with the Divine Purpose nerf. The Holy Power abilities now have a 10% chance to make your next Holy Power spender free and deal 10% increased damage. I would much rather them remove the increased damage or healing portion and increase the chance for the proc to happen. 10% is a fairly low proc chance. If you think about it, like if you think that Final Verdict is a low proc chance with Hammer of Wrath, the 15% chance, you know, this one is 10%. This is hardly procking right now. But you know, there's probably a build where this is okay. Honestly, I've been experimenting not running Divine Resonance because I have so many you know, I have so many extra charges of the 20% of the Greater Judgment from High Lord's Judgment that I might not need this. So we could unspec out of this, toss it into Divine Purpose, and there we go. You can still run Divine Purpose. I do think Vengeful Wrath is very valuable. It makes it so your Hammer of Wrath always grants 2 Holy Power and always crits when combined with Adjudication. Pretty sure I said that right now. Adjudication. I still think this talent is kind of whack. Like, the Blessed Hammer is very weird, but it does generate a Holy Power. That is where the second Holy Power comes from. The Blades of Light talent now works on our single target Holy Power abilities. So that causes Final Verdict to now deal Holy Strike damage, which means it also procs Divine Arbiter. So this is slightly new from the prior week. So now at 25 stacks, your next damaging single target ability, and this did just get nerfed, but to be honest, it was kind of crazy. It deals 52,000 Holy Strike damage to your primary target and a little bit of splash AoE damage. It is nice to see. It's very weird. So think about all the Holy Strike damage abilities that we have. This is going to be a big one. Your Templar Strike. So Crusader Strike, Blaze of Light functions with this talent here. So inherits all the benefits of Crusader Strike. We can proc it by spamming Templar Strike. And this is a good transition into Templar Strike here. So what Templar Strikes does is it converts your Crusader Strike, which now has 2 charges baseline, into a 2-part combo attack. And I'm a huge fan of this talent. And by the way, they did nerf Crusading Strikes again. They nerfed the damage. Damage definitely did need to be nerfed on Crusading Strikes. And that's okay with me. I'm not a fan of it. I would actually prefer to use Templar Strikes, especially the new version of it. So it's a 2-part strike that deals Holy Strike damage on the first strike, and it deals Holy Strike damage on the second strike with an auto crit chance. Now, this talent is a little weird because if you're not talented into Blades of Light, it deals radiant damage. But if you're talented into Blade of Light, it deals Holy Strike damage and does not benefit from the Burning Crusade. So you can get this to hit a little bit harder if you talent out of this, but at that point, like 10% physical versus 10% fire is a very, very low damage margin to, you know, worry about. And honestly, I think Burning Crusade and Searing Light should both be scrapped. I don't like either of these over here. I'm probably never going to take them in PvP. Searing Light is kind of cool, but the proc chance is so incredibly low. And why would we want an RNG proc for 34k? It's just like, no thank you. No thank you. I'm good. So yeah, Templar Strikes. Let me show you guys how this works. So the cool thing about Templar Strikes is that it functions with all Crusader Strike related talents. So it gets increased range from Crusader's Reprieve, and it also heals you, and it also procs Luminescence. So we're gonna sit about, let's see,
it's too far away.
This far away from the target dummy. And if we heal with our Templars or whatever, let me see if actually, let me see if it's still working this build, because last build it was. Let me just damage myself a little bit. Last build it was healing us, causing Luminescence. I hope this is not too high to die. That would be really funny. I heal myself. There's Luminescence. All right, so it does proc Luminescence. Whenever we heal ourselves with our Crusader Strike, it procs Luminescence. So baseline now, we have 2 charges of Crusader Strike. This converts Crusader Strike to be a 2-part combo with 3 seconds to continue the combo. So we technically have 4 charges of back Crusader Strike if we need to, and it's on half a GCD. I am a huge fan of this ability. It feels so good to use. It feels so good to press. It does good damage. It's like our second. It's close to Final Verdict levels of damage on our overall breakdown. Um, so yeah, I do like this talent. So right here, we're gonna smack this dummy 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 slaps. Not all of them crit like that. We actually just got insanely lucky. Only the second portion is supposed to crit. Well, I mean, be the guaranteed crit. We did get lucky on a Templar Strike. So the Templar Strikes actually can crit, but they're not the guaranteed crit portion. Guaranteed crit portion actually does fairly decent damage. 47 to 50k with no cooldowns is very nice. And it plays into Vanguard of Justice. So Vanguard of Justice got changed once again, and I still think it's it's pretty strong, but I actually like using it now with in combination with the new Templar Strikes because it becomes very manageable to deal combo point to get 4 combo points and then use a finisher. It takes a little bit of getting used to instead of pushing it on 3, but now our holy power damaging abilities cost 4 holy power but deal 25% more damage. And this is going to be big in PvP, especially since our generators do some more damage now. Not entirely sure it will be used in PvE, because I know the math was like each combo point is technically 33% of a final verdict. So like when it was 5 holy power, I believe, with 66% additional damage, mathematically it like evened out in PvE, and people still said they didn't like it. So this is more of a burst-oriented talent. If this is nerfed once again, I'll have to check it out because I'm not entirely sure if it goes below this value, if it will be worth using. It might be. I'm not sure what that, lower threshold is where Vanguard of Justice would be unusable. But I think it's kind of, it feels good at 25% right here. Especially because we lack Seraphim to actually pump up our damage super, super high. So, like, for example, Stun, Wings, Final Reckoning into a Final Verdict, 189k. Like, this is still really strong. And it was but it was 4 combo points. On retail, that would be closer to, like, 300k on a dummy. And I'd be using only 3 combo points. So it's, it's give and take here. I do think this is going to be a valuable talent for PvP, and I also think that it will take some getting used to. But really, when you play around with Judgment generating an additional holy power, having essentially 4 Crusader Strikes, and having either 2 charges of Blade of Justice or the normal 2 holy power Blade of Justice, and having Hammer of Wrath generate 2 holy power when it either procs off of Final Verdict or we can use it off of Wings, it feels good. Also, Vanguard's momentum is now essentially like baseline because we can. What are you going to do? Take Vanguard's momentum, or are you going to take Sanctify in PvP? Obviously, you're going to take Vanguard's momentum every single time. So, oh yeah, and by the way, if we're executing a target, it's going to generate 3 holy power. So keep that in mind. Pretty nice talent here. There are a few talents that I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be opting in for them or not. So the questionable talents here we have are Inquisitor's Ire. If I was going to swap out of something into Inquisitor's Ire, it might be Heart of the Crusader. But right now, Templar's Strike is pretty high portion of our damage, so buffing it by 10% is pretty nice. It could be I drop Divine Wrath, 3 seconds of Wings. That's not that big a deal. I mean, it kind of is, but now Wings is a minute cooldown. So if I'm missing out on like 3 seconds, it's not the end of the world in order to make our Empyrean Legacy. Nearly every Empyrean Legacy is going to be fully empowered. Especially since we're not going to be really taking Empyrean power too much anymore. It just lines up really well with our burst. And execution sentence. So at the moment, execution sentence is significantly better than Final Reckoning in PvP because of the new buffs to both execution sentence. Has been slowly buffed throughout the patch cycle, and it was dispellable until the hotfixes today. They did change it back to being a non-magic spell, so you can't dispel anymore, which is really good. I like if this spell is dispellable, then it is unusable in PvP, which makes it like 3 talent points right here not usable for execution sentence because you're just not going to take execution sentence. So what this does is every 30 seconds we have a fairly large burst window between Wake of Ashes and execution sentence, and Searing Flames got buffed. So now the secondary targets actually are, or I'm sorry, the secondary lashes are dealing significant damage. Before it was dealing, it was too low. I really liked it, but it was very, very low damage. It was not worth it. Truce Wake got some nerfs. It's not doing as much damage as it was before. I'm not quite sure what's causing it to do less damage. Maybe it was just the entire value got nerfed. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it is dealing less damage now. It was doing like almost 60k before. But yeah, now it is down at 32k, which is more reasonable to be honest. Like that's almost it's almost doubling the damage, not quite. But between these two talents, Wake of Ashes is a very hard hitting ability, very very hard hitting ability, and it pairs up perfectly with execution sentence every 30 seconds. Let's just give an example right here, and guys, ignore the numbers. On players, it's going to be less. We're going to be damaging into versatility. We're going to be damaging into defensive cooldowns. We're going to be kiting. And I really hope they keep execution sentence undispellable again. So your burst rotation will likely look something like this, where we get our holy power here. I'm going to go ahead and stun the target, wings, execution. Do some big damage going in here. My auto crits of Hammer of Wrath. Love the auto crits on Hammer of Wrath. Such big damage. And then, yeah. You know, that wasn't 311k non-crit. That's fine. That's fine. Just kidding. Execution Sentence doesn't crit anymore. But this is on a 30-second cooldown. So that is pretty cool to see. This guy says, wow, Lvladen. LOL, big fan. Oops. Hi. You will be in next video. So I'm pretty sure I missed some stuff. I think I did somewhere. Oh yeah, so 15% flash of light heal. That's that sucks. And a lot of people were complaining about ret healing, saying it's really strong. It was really strong, and I think that they need to come up with a good happy medium about if they want ret being a strong off healer. Our entire tankiness is pretty good still. Sanctified Plates is now a 2 talent point rank talent. I think that's fine because 1 talent point for 20% armor, 10% stamina, and 10% less AoE damage taken was really strong. So putting this at 2 points is fine. I'm okay with that. It is what it is. And then for the most part, oh yeah, they combined Blessed Champion over here. That's pretty cool. Maybe we take this talent in some RBG somewhere, like we spec out of Heart of the Crusader. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would spec out of Heart of the Crusader, toss it in a Blessed Champion right here in a cleave fight, something like that. Do lots of damage. Big damage. We did get unfortunate news that ret mobility is essentially done being iterated on. Maybe not done being iterated on, but they're not going to add anything new. And they did take away the undispellable portion of Unbound Freedom, which is kind of unfortunate. I do think they need to add in a good chunk of PvP talents for ret. Like, look at the list now. It's very small. We're missing Jurisdiction. So we're missing a talent that increases Hodge range. Hodge range, I really want that to be, 20 yards maybe. Is that too much to ask? We could put in a PvP talent just for Hodge. Maybe we could get a PvP talent that reduces the duration of Hodge but makes it physical. That would be cool. We need something to replace Unbound Freedom in terms of mobility. So maybe we get Steed of Glory under the ret tree here. That would be pretty neat. Or something that makes Hand of Freedom undispellable, or Steed Break Roots. And then we also lost, what was the last talent we lost? I'm having a brain fart. There were 3 talents. So we lost Unbound Freedom, Jurisdiction, and Law and Order. We lost the 70% slow off Blade of Justice, which makes sense because Hand of Hindrance is gone. And we have Judgment Slow now for 30%. So that is about it for me tonight, guys. Positive things, everything is still going to be okay. The sky is not falling. Do not worry. We're doing big dam. We're doing big healing. We have our defensive cooldowns. I enjoy them. Oh yeah, wall did get nerfed from 45% to 30%, but I was honestly expecting that because 45% wall every 1 minute usable while stunned is pretty insane. And that was a vestigial PvP modifier from the current patch when baseline divine protection was not 30% already. I'm sorry, it's not technically baseline, it's with Aegis of Protection, but you will always take this talent because, it leads down into the main capstone DPS talents, and obviously it's really, really strong in itself where it buffs both your defensive cooldowns. All right. That was a little long-winded, I know, but that is about it. Oh, I'm sorry. 2 more things I forgot. So, blind apparently breaks on holy damage now. Blind this target. Yes, it breaks on holy damage. Quite unfortunate. We're not going to be bursting into our blind anymore. That is unfortunate. And this is kind of like both a buff and a nerf. Just kind of an odd change. Holy Strike damage no longer goes through Blessing of Protection. So it is considered physical. You cannot damage another Paladin's bop with your Holy Strike damaging abilities. Very weird. But maybe that means that we can go straight through AMS now. Like, we'll just absolutely shred DKs. That's kind of cool. All right. Now, I think that's it. I hope everyone has a great weekend. And I will see you guys for the next Ret update. Peace.